Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dark Rooms podcast. I'm Psychic here with Inkyink and Ozone, and we're back!
We are back indeed. It has been a while. We took a little bit of a break because,
Rooms
burnout.
Alright.
Yeah, a little bit of
Things
burnout.
were kind of going crazy. We have Aracdendo, though he was not able to make it to today's episode because he's got some important schoolwork, I believe, right?
Yep, but he will be back. He is going to be a main part of the podcast.
Yes.
He always comes back.
Yeah.
He's British, he has that.
Obviously, we're in a bit of a rocky transitional period right now, but we are obviously resuming episodes.
Yep.
We've got a bit to talk about. We were, finishing up Bobbiedots conclusion, and pretty soon will be Nexi.
Yeah.
So
Nexi's next.
wow, ain't that wordplay?
And we're recording this the day before Nexi comes out.
Yeah,
which is ironic.
We are a little bit behind.
Little bit, just a tad.
But we were getting kind of tired, and I feel like that was kind of obvious in some of the episodes. So, hopefully we're gonna be back in like a more energetic mood. I know I already feel a lot better, but
Hopefully.
I just want to say I love how people read these books like 2 months early now, and we are covering them 2 months late.
Yeah, it's annoying.
well, I do dislike the okay. I know live readings themselves aren't bad. Like, some people just can't afford the books. That's okay. But I mean, like, you could do it when the book released. That's just how I feel.
The culture around it is really annoying, and we have not been secretive about that opinion.
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Oh yeah, you go.
Because it's the FNaF community as well. Of course, it's like 10 times bigger, and people like spread it everywhere. And I feel for you guys
because they go in for lore first, story later, and that is just not.
Yeah.
That's just not how it should be. But I'm gonna try my best not to be too much of a downer today. I have to fully admit I have been very disillusioned with like everything FNaF lately, but hopefully this will be able to get me back into it again.
I know, like, I'm really interested in like the books after the ones that, because like I'm pretty sure we have 9 announced, but we don't have like the cover yet, and I feel like we have Storyteller, we have the Mimic coming up, and we have Tiger Rock coming up, and I feel like those kind of make like those plus the Epilogue is like, I feel like those are like the main like story ones. Like, it's kind of like the Stitch line of Tales, and I don't really know what's going to be after that. I mean, I'm fine with just more stories, but I've also heard... Oh, you can go.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
I've heard from some people that they're only doing 8. From like one of the artists was only commissioned to do 8.
That's what I was gonna say.
There is a listing for 9, so it could just be
a mistake, a placeholder. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe.
And we now know that the 8th book is B72.
Yes,
that's an interesting place to end it if they would do that.
I agree. I feel like there is 9.
I mean, like, even like we got Felix the Shark to end off. Like, it wouldn't be that out of the ordinary, like with this series. But yeah, I know I'm excited for next. I mean, like, I've heard a lot about it, and like I feel like I have like really high hopes now, which could make it a worse experience for me. I know that happened a bit with Bobbiedots conclusion, but I just hope we get some good stories, and we'll try not to be 2 months late this time.
Yeah.
So
yippee!
In Nexi, there's of course the Mimic story, which everybody is getting hyped about. And I feel, especially for Inky, who you kind of feel a bit, what's the word for it?
Drained.
Yeah, a bit drained from FNaF right now. I actually feel like the new lore that comes out of this is pretty cool. So I think
interesting.
Might relight some fires.
Hopefully,
And
especially because I might try and get the book physically from the library again, which
Yeah.
might
And that
put
helps.
some
That helps.
might put some strain on delays with the episodes. Hopefully it's not that much though. But just having the book in front of me, reading it on my own terms really helps a lot with the experiance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Obviously no shade to your audiobooks, Ozone. They have carried me through the school year. But there's always something a little different, like reading it yourself with your own thoughts and everything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I will say, like, I've read stories both with Ozone's audiobooks and on my own, and there is a difference. Like, some stories are
Absolutely.
elevated by that. Some stories aren't.
Together forever.
exactly.
But do we want to,
yes.
regardless of the future of Nexi and all the books after it, do we want to get started on the most recent book? Which, when did it even come out?
It came out it was March, wasn't it?
March,
Was it March?
It was March. I think it was
was
March.
March.
7th.
We had one in December, and then we had two in December, and
Yeah.
then we had one in March.
Wait, Bobbiedots Conclusion came out
March
what?
7th.
March 7th?
Yes, almost
Yeah.
Are
2
you
months
kidding?
ago.
We're a
It was a
month.
long
We're a
time
month.
ago.
We're almost 2 months late.
Yes, Inkyink.
Yeah.
Oh,
We need to snap you back to reality. What has happened?
yeah. No, I've been very out of it. I've been kind of frustrated with the
Mhm.
FNaF content, the FNaF community. I just have been very out of the loop, you could say.
Well, hopefully we're gonna be able to rope you back in.
Hopefully, I hope so. Basically, the only thing keeping me going right now is the movie, and that's just it's happening eventually. Yippee!
Well, I mean, we have a release date for that. Did we talk about that on the podcast? Was that a thing?
Oh, did we?
No.
No. Okay. Well,
27th.
yeah. October 27th is gonna go crazy. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Do you guys think we'll be able to scrounge up the money to try and watch it together, or is that
Actually,
a pipe dream?
I have the streaming service it's gonna be on, so I could just stream it in a call if we wanted to watch it together after we watched it separately, or just watch it for the first time if you guys want.
I want my first experience to be in theaters. I'm thinking.
That's totally fair. I know for me, I hate movie theaters. They give me anxiety.
What?
So I love the fact that it's on streaming services.
I
Interesting.
like that, but I feel like because of that, it's going to perform less well in the box office.
It could, but I think FNaF is so huge that it's gonna perform.
Well, let's hope so.
I guess. Yeah. I have money. I can fly to America, but I don't know about you guys. You're in college.
Yeah, we're
Right.
at 2 separate colleges, so
I feel like with enough planning,
yeah.
I could maybe do something. I don't know.
And if not, we could after we have all watched it separately, we can all just watch it together and just talk about
Yeah.
it. So it'll be alright. Anyway,
I think we should. I think it would be neat to try. We can keep discussing that off screen, I suppose.
I know I met up with Inky almost 2 years ago now, and that
Oh
was
my
so much
gosh.
fun.
2 years ago.
That was almost 2 years
yeah,
ago.
that was almost 2 years ago. Oh my gosh, time flies. Yeah, we had a sword fight in the fields.
We did. Oh my god.
It was
Yeah, and
it was
you
a great
argued
time.
about spring water.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Why is it called spring water when it's not spring?
We can talk about that later. I think we've waited long enough, so let's actually talk about Bobbiedots now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Booby doot.
So I wasn't there for the GGY episode.
Oh, do you want to give your thoughts on that? So
I could briefly give my thoughts, I guess.
sure, go ahead.
If we want. I don't know. I feel like the story itself is completely overshadowed by the reveal that Gregory is patient 46. And we don't know everything that entails. And it still doesn't really make sense to me. So I'm not really a fan of the story. But it's gotten to I feel like more recently after I had read it, I guess, I would have had stronger opinions. But now it's just been so long, I'm just
Speaking of which,
do you think the story was only created because of Gregory 46 to kind of give us insight on that?
I'd say it's possible, very possible, and that's like another thing that's been like
I
a
can see that.
topic of discussion, contention in recent days is how the books are very much leaning into like read the book, get lore, like which I have mixed feelings about because on the one hand it's cool that they're being a bit more upfront, on the other hand it feels like it's feeding into the culture of read books, get lore instead of like good stories. Like I kind of miss when Fazbear Frights had like this doesn't really have much to do with the lore on a surface level, but it's just a good story.
Inky question.
GGY felt like lore first, story second.
Question. Do you think that it would have been possible to solve Patient 46 with just the games?
I don't think so beyond what MatPat did, because he kind of made the like logical deduction elimination to get Gregory 46, which he's right, I guess. Ended up being right. So essentially we did see what happens when we use just the games, and while it was technically right, it was so divisive and there was no solid conclusion that it was just the same as any other theory, where it's like, here's some things that would point to it, and here's other things that would make it not make sense.
I personally think that's a problem. What do you guys think?
I've got mixed feelings about it because I like the books, so people actually giving them the time of day is nice, but I also don't think it's smart.
That I agree with that.
I might be biased because it's the future now, but I think that the Patient 46 mystery was actually quite well done, because there were possibilities, but there's a very clear answer now, and like, it's not...
I can get that. I can understand being satisfied that like a question proposed in the FNaF series has an answer now.
That's it. I'm satisfied with the answer now. Like, there is a satisfying conclusion
because they never do that. And like, even if you don't think it's like I don't know if it's a satisfying answer, but the fact that there is an answer is satisfying.
And I think we could have gotten there. I think there was just too... I think the theory community is kind of overcrowded, and there's way too many theories here, there, everywhere.
Well,
it's kind of too much.
It kind of goes hand in hand, in my opinion, because the theory community can't get that like varied and I guess like bloated, without there being that right amount of vagueness to the content itself. Like, it wouldn't get that like sporadic and like completely scatterbrained if it wasn't like leaned into by the games giving us just not enough information most of the time.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's just funny. I look back at the tapes, I re-listen to the tapes, and I'm like, this is so clearly a child. Like, how did we miss this? Well, I remember the episode we did, and we were like, oh no, it's clearly not Gregory, it's not a child.
Well, I mean, like, I can still see why we said that, because, like, if Gregory is the mastermind behind a lot of this crap, without the knowledge that, like, I mean, I don't know, we still don't really know why, or, like, what happened between Gregory being a glitch trap pawn and security breach, because it's like, now all the animatronics are chasing you, shouldn't they not recognize Gregory as their, like, leader?
Yeah. Also, it was, like, I remember... a while ago, there was like some sort of translation thing where it's like, oh, Patient 46 is given like female pronouns, so it can't be Gregory. Do you guys remember that? I remember that being a thing.
Possibly. Yes, it sounds familiar.
Was a mistake.
That was a mistake?
In the developer, on the developer side.
I mean, that makes sense for being a mistake. Yeah. Especially if the people translating are not given any info, like the rest of us. Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, at the time, I can see why we came to our conclusions, but now, like, looking back, it's like I can see why it's Gregory. Whether or not that's a good thing, we can talk about it another time.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly happy with it, but I'm also not raging at it. I just think it's a little dumb, but I'm also hearing them out on where it
Are you
goes.
able to accept it?
Well, I mean, going back to what we were saying earlier, it's not so much. This isn't really something that you can accept or deny. This is one of the only times in the series where they have like given us a concrete fact. Whether you like it or not,
Right.
you kind of have to accept it.
Yeah. There's no like debate here. Like
Right.
it was very clearly shown that like first of all Gregory was with the therapist. Like that's like the
Like the therapists are in the story.
Yeah.
The like legit therapists. They are there. They are not there anymore. They are dead somewhere.
and
Why are they? Why do we know why? Do we know why they're getting let into the Pizzaplex?
I think
Like I had always assumed that they were just like found dead in alleys or something.
I like from the tapes and from the story itself and what Greg says to Tony at the very end, I think he brings him into the Pizzaplex, and then the robots kill him because I believe and then like they dispose of the body or whatever. Because I remember one of the therapists was like,
the
"Oh,
body's
we found a previous therapist, and it was like mangled by machinery."
Right.
So I think he uses the robot as his murder weapon.
Or Gregory is a machine.
All right,
Okay, that did not get a great response.
Gregbot, oh boy.
Gregbot is still a thing where
I
it's
am
like
Gregory.
Gregbot is still a thing where it's like it could be true, it might not be. We just really don't know,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really seem to change that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said last time, like, he doesn't need to be anymore.
Yeah.
He could be, but there's no reason for him to be, really.
Mhm.
We know it's basically the same. It would have the same effect. The glitch trap virus would have the same effect on a person as it does a robot. So
All right, guys, hear me out, okay? Vanny is the good guy trying to get Gregory for killing all these therapists, but that's just a theory, a game theory.
Huh. I know you're saying that as like a complete joke, but like as an actual serious response, it would probably be just Vanny under the control of Glitchtrap is trying to reclaim Gregory.
Yeah.
But Gregory is the manipulator.
He was, maybe, but now he's not because security breach gameplay.
Okay, but
Ooh.
what about Sploop?
Sploop!
Does Sploop
That's
have
really
any ground
scary.
still? I barely remember how that theory worked.
I don't think so. There's actually a new theory, but I can't talk about it because it's Mimic related.
Of
Okay.
course it is.
Speaking of the Mimic, Inky, what did
Some
you think
things
of
never
Storyteller?
change. Storyteller, the Storyteller, I don't exactly know how to feel about it because on the one hand, like it's kind of like you have to look at it as its own story and you have to look at it as like the culmination of the build-up.
Right.
Because
yeah.
this was the Fazbear like CEO story we were
Mhm.
so pumped about. And then it was just like I don't know. It felt very, very underwhelming. In my opinion,
Okay,
at least.
I get that, but I actually really like the story.
That's fair. I mean, I liked the Edwin guy. Is that was his name?
Yeah.
Edwin Murray.
I liked Edwin. I liked the dichotomy he had with the guy that just
Sorry.
reminded me of Sergio from Sergio's Lucky Day. What was that guy's name? Like Mr.
Burrows.
Burrows, yeah.
Which is related to rabbits.
It could be, yeah.
Or
Um,
and he wears
not.
purple.
Everyone's got to wear purple.
FNaF theorist when someone has the color purple.
I feel like this will probably end up just being like set up for Mimic and Tiger Rock, which I don't know how I felt about the reveal that like the storyteller is Tiger Rock or something. I still don't really know how that's gonna end up panning out.
That was weird.
It was weird because it was like treated as this big reveal and it was like, oh, it's that guy on the front cover of that other one that we still don't really know. I was like, that's neat, I guess. I mean, I had no idea what implications this has. I thought it would. I don't know what I was expecting, but I definitely was not expecting that.
I think the main point you have to take from it though is that Edwin sees that Tiger Rock head, and he immediately like flips. He knows what's up when he sees that.
Right.
So-
So like, was the Mimic tiger animatronic. Like it's weird that they are placing so much importance on this completely new character that we have. Like, I mean,
Well, I think
I don't know exactly how I would, because obviously they're going to tell us the importance. They're going to show us why this is important, but it seems like almost out of order. Like they wanted these big reveals, but we have no information about the character to like make that impactful yet.
I feel like with the Mimic, like we do kind of know like what it was made for, thanks to the epilogues. Like, you know, it says
Right.
It says like, you know, this is an animatronic that can fit into any other suit. So it's like that's why it's the Mimic, because it can like be it could be like a Freddy or a Chica or a Bonnie.
Right. And as the epilogue shows, it can kind of like mimic voices. Is that what that's what I took away from that at least?
Yes.
Which is, you know, predictable, but also just, you know, concerning.
It's also freaky smart, but we'll get into that later.
I could say so much right now, but I'm not going to.
Just wait like 2 weeks, Ozone.
I'm thinking, okay, you want to know what I'm thinking about the Mimic?
What's up, Inkyink?
I think it did, I don't know. It must have done something. Crazy thought, I know. We know it's like probably responsible for the death of Edwin's son. In what way? I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I'm also trying to like incorporate the fact that some people would think it's like a retcon. So maybe it had something to do. It's weird. I feel like I don't know if this. I don't think I've heard this anywhere, or if this is just my own thoughts extrapolated off of things I've heard. I feel like it might have done an MCI of some kind. Probably not the MCI, but the fact that it can mimic voices and like basically the appearances of other animatronics, it might have lured people and killed them. But like, why would it do that? I don't know. Was it used by William Afton? I don't know.
So
I guess we'll see.
But Edwin's son, Edwin is actually Matt, and Edwin's son is Baby Springtrap.
This is terrible news.
the worst part. Okay, actually no, never mind.
The worst part is that I'm not wrong.
The worst part is In the Flesh is now canon.
Oh wait, what?
No, well, okay, kind of.
I mean,
no, not really.
Because of Mimic?
We'll talk about that another time.
Okay, basically,
I think In the Flesh has new relevance, but
okay, that kind of adds on to what I was about to say. My main thing is that what I think the big takeaway from the Mimic is going to be is that the Mimic is mimicking William Afton, and that's why there are so many, like, there's like Burn Trap, there's like
Glitch Trap.
in the Flesh, for example, Glitch Trap. The Mimic has the Mimic has latched on to, for one reason or another, the actions of William Afton and is carrying them out, which is why I think people are saying that it changes the lore so much, why some people say it's a retcon, and why you think I'll be back on board with it, because it won't be literally William Afton anymore. That's my theory, that's my crackpot prediction. We'll see in a few weeks.
And give us 2 years.
Anyways, give us 2 years in memory of underscore.
Speaking of 2 and time, it's been 2 months. I think we should finally talk about Bobbiedots.
Bobbiedots.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Okay, so I really like this one. So I guess we'll just go into a quick summary.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really love how this is done, because it's clearly a two-parter, and they start off with kind of like introducing you back into the world and recapping what happened last time, and I really like that. I think it's
Tales from the Pizza Place.
I mean, like, obviously this is going to be a two-parter. I don't know why Inky said it wasn't going to be. Anyway, so...
wait a minute. So let's back up a second on that one.
Psychic's the type of person to say B72 isn't a sequel.
Alright, anyway, so we got Abe, and it recaps everything, and it's like, okay, he's in an apartment, he snuck in, and he doesn't really... He's in danger, and he doesn't really trust the Gen 2s, but he doesn't know if the Gen 1s exist, so he's just kind of in this weird middle zone where he doesn't know what is what. He goes to work, and he's working, doing whatever, and one night he's like, okay, I need to like figure this out, but he has a magnetic lock on his door, so he gets the one, the only Mr. Hippo Magnet.
Go,
And
Mr.
we
Hippo
get the
Magnet.
best lore, and we learn about why it's able to break the machine. We get Mr. Hippo Magnet lore, and that's
Mr. Hippo
Yeah,
Magnet
and
lore.
It's like
The
it's
weird
like
part
too
is-
powerful.
The weird part is, it was decommissioned years ago, so why do we see it in Security Breach?
I think it's
Probably just like leftover merch.
Dropped on the floor, yeah.
yeah.
Abandoned, left to rot.
Oh, Gregory, I am so sorry. That's the best Freddy line. Anyway, so he takes the magnet, and one night he hears stuff outside, so he's like, okay, tonight's the night. So he unlocks his door, and he sees the Gen 1s. And this is like the first time we can see it. I believe it's 3, and it's like there's no eyes, there's like wires everywhere.
They are beat up.
And yeah, they are like completely beat up. And he's like, oh my gosh, they're real. And they were like doing stuff. He's like, oh my gosh, they're trying to trap me here. And he like makes a noise. And because, you know, classic literature, it's like if someone's blind, they have amazing hearing. You know, that's just normal.
I mean, there's also some real life truth to that.
Yes,
Israel.
yeah, I'm not
It's
saying-
fiction.
I'm not saying, I just mean, I mean, I know it's a real thing. I'm just saying, like, you know, like in like
It is a very common, like,
Yeah.
commonly used fact.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So it hears him, and you know, it, like lashes out at him, and I believe he doesn't get hurt the first time. So he runs away. He hides in his room. This goes on for a couple more times, but then like one night he opens it up, and they're like all 3 of them there, and he makes a noise, and they try to get, and they turn to him, they like scream, and they try to like grab him, and their wires actually hit him, and like they just completely hurt him, like the tears on the skin everywhere, like lacerations, all that stuff, and like then like morning comes, luckily, and the Gen 2s come online, and they're like, what the hell just happened? Because he's like very seriously hurt, and he's like, can't go to the hospital or anything because this reason. So he just like bandages himself up and leaves. During that day, he stops by like this like skee ball place, and he meets Sasha, who is a new character in the story. And
Sasha, who carries the story.
Yeah. I know Ozone likes Sasha a lot, but he's muted right now. So she's like, oh yeah, I'm here doing research for this like field trip thing. And he's like, oh okay. He's like, do you want to hang out sometime? She's like, sure. So they start hanging out, and they like start going on dates. And she's like the romantic interest, and they're just chilling out, just having a good time. And one day he's like, I'm gonna tell you why I'm so beat up. So he explains it, and she's like, huh, that's really interesting. So he takes her back, and she meets the Bobbiedots, and she's like, oh, okay, blah blah blah, and they're like, ooh, look at this person, that's cool. And she's like, let's do some research on the Gen 1s. So that night they you know, they get out, and they're like, the Gen 1s are all there, and
They're grooving.
Abe sees them do something against the wall, and he makes a noise, and they charge at him, and they like swarm him, and he's like freaking out, and then like I believe Sasha just pulls him out, and they like hide. The Gen 1s go back up to their attic, and she's like, you won't believe this. He's like, they tried to kill me. She's like, no, they didn't. They're actually trying to protect you. He's like, what? She's like, yeah, that wire that went to the door, I bet if you grabbed that, it would have just like completely shocked and killed you. He's like, that's what you're probably wrong. And she's like, no, I'm not. The frickin',
Oh yeah, bozo, look at it.
the freaking elevator, the freaking refrigerator was falling over, and they stopped it from crushing you. He's like, no, they totally pulled it. And she's like, you idiot, they're trying to help you. And he's like, well, if they're trying to help me, who's trying to hurt me? And she's like, think about it, dumbass. These guys aren't hurting you, and there's only one other thing in the room that can hurt you, and he's like, Oh, I finally get it. So they realize it's the Gen 2. So
The
shock-
Gen 2s,
shock
the
of all
Johto
shock.
region. The
Saw
Johto region is
that
after
one
him.
coming.
I mean, so the Gen 2s are evil. So first of all, did this actually surprise anyone?
No. They literally revealed it in like the first part of the first.
Yeah, they kind of did.
Yeah.
I think when you realize the Gen 1s are real, you kind of piece it together, like where it's going.
It's either like the Gen 2s are making it up and the Gen 1s are not real, or the Gen 1s are real and they're the good guys. So we we kind of figured it out.
Right. Yeah.
And then to just pick it up, I guess, they flood the apartment to kill the.
Yeah, I was getting there.
Yeah, this part's a bit
Gotcha.
weird.
So, basically, they realize, oh crap, it's the Gen 2s. And I will say, I wasn't surprised, but I still think it was done well, in a way.
It was
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't like, I wasn't like, I'm surprised, but I wasn't like, this is a stupid twist. Like, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I thought it was done well. So, they like try to escape, but the door's locked and they can't get out. So they're like, let's so the Gen 2s are like start flooding the room. They like turn on all the faucets and then they put like the electrical wires into the water, so the water's electrified. So if they touch it, they will get shocked and they will die. So they climb up into the attic and they meet with the Gen 1s, and the Gen 1s start talking, and they're like, listen, so first of all, we killed the previous owner because
He tried to burn down the building.
he tried to burn down the
that
building.
was all the stuff.
part.
All the stuff with him was like that one was like maybe a little bit more of a twist, just to hear that like bro was actually insane and tried to like kill everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I had a theory at the time that Landon was Michael Afton.
No.
But they're like, listen, so the Gen 2s, they're different from all the other Gen 2s. Yours are special because they have like a confidence complex or whatever, and they're like, oh
Yeah, basically the classic. The AI is self-aware and hates humanity. Oh no.
Yeah, and they're like, crap, and they're like, how do we stop them? They're like, remember that reset terminal? Yeah, you just got to turn that off. But Rose said I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
You idiot.
Rose said you couldn't do that.
She lied to you. So they're like, okay, we have our plan now. But then the floor, because they're in the little attic crawl space, but the floor beneath them falls out. So they land. The room's like flooded. It's literally the floor is lava. So they start jumping around, and they're like, we need to get there. So it's this big scene where they're like going from place to place while the Bobbiedots are going crazy, and they make it to the terminal. They turn it off, and it's all good. Like they escape the apartment. They explain it to like the office people, and they're not like, you broke into our room. They're like, oh, you found the problem. Thank you.
We were looking into that.
Thank you. You solved the problem for us, and you didn't manage to die. Good job. So,
if it wasn't Fazbear Entertainment, I would say that's such a dumb plot point, but because it's Fazbear Entertainment,
Exactly.
it's so funny. They're like, you know what? No, yeah, keep the room.
Yeah. So it ends.
You earned it, buddy. Slap like a pat on the back.
It's a
high
promotion.
five. Yeah.
So they it cuts. It's like a time skip a little bit, and I forgot to mention at one point Abe just goes into the sewers, which is interesting. And it turns out he was there and he picked up some supplies, and he and Sasha now are living safely in the apartment, and they're repairing the Gen 1s, and they're making a room for Abe's mom to come stay. And that's
Nice
where the story-
wholesome ending.
That's where it ends.
It was a very nice
wrapped
wholesome
it up
ending.
really nicely.
I still don't exactly know how to feel about the whole Bobbiedots story. I think part 2 was
Goodness sake.
it was heavily carried by Sasha.
Sasha,
Part one-
Sasha is my favorite character ever.
Yeah, it's
Part
so good.
1 I feel like part 1 really depended on you liking the Bobbiedots, which, like, I was never a huge fan of them. I thought they were, like, mildly annoying. So I was not surprised nor entirely, like, amused when it was like, they're the bad guys. It's like, wow, yes, cool. I think the Gen 1 just, like, dropping exposition was... It kind of broke immersion a little bit, where it's like, why are they doing this? And the Gen 1's like, this is exactly why they're doing this. Hey, here we go. Here's the history of it.
I felt the same.
So I think there were probably better ways to get that point across. Maybe more built up. Maybe like a few comments about like the depravity of humanity or something from like, I don't know, Olive. Although it would be funny if Rose did it. Like, just, she's talking about food, and then just goes like, war is so unnecessary, humanity sucks, yes, chocolate cake.
You should do audiobooks.
You should write the books.
But, yeah, it ended well. I liked Sasha, she was a fun character. The twist was predictable, but, like, not a bad twist. I do miss when twists were twisty. But I don't know if we'll ever get back to that point because of like live readings and like leaks and stuff. Which is sad. If you're watching this, hear our plight, spread the word. I don't know. Do something. Or not. That's fine too. It doesn't matter that much. But yeah, I'm not like a huge Bobbiedots fan. It was a solid story. Especially part 2. It was just solid.
I would say part 2 is better than part 1 for the most
Yeah.
part. I think because
I mean, it's where everything happens.
That scene where Sasha is interacting with the Gen 2s is like the most adorable scene in the entire series.
It was very. It felt
love
very. It did a good job of feeling at home in the FNaF universe, but also pushed a lot of like new ground. Like you could. You go.
We both stopped at the same time.
Yeah.
It's one of those that feels like a movie again, and this one was like a romance turned horror.
Or a horror turned romance. But you could just take out a few elements and have it be completely separate from FNaF. But I feel like that's why they included the bits at the Pizzaplex. To keep it grounded in like, hey, this is still FNaF. But it was like, it also stood on its own enough that they didn't need to do that. But I still appreciate that they did, in hindsight. I remember thinking that in part 1 it felt a little bit like, hey, remember this is FNaF? But by the time of part 2 it was like, it feels a good balance, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found the Gen 1s very creepy. Their like tentacles were described very well. They're like Medusa hair and stuff.
Yeah, they were neat.
Very, very good stuff.
Ozone, we gotta talk though. We have to talk.
Oh no, what?
What are you thinking with your theory about the names of the Gen 1s? What are you thinking? Yes, one of them's named Elizabeth. Sure. But they literally say it's named after like queens.
Yeah, I know.
Please elaborate.
If you watch my initial reaction, I was like, wow, this is crazy. We have 3 names that are like
connected to Elizabeth. No, they aren't.
Baby. So we have Elizabeth, and then what's the other? The other one's Isabella, which is the girl from Dance With Me at the end.
Which has nothing to do with Baby.
Shut up. She went
it has to do with Ballora, and it doesn't do with Baby.
Okay. She was one of the people there on the only day it was open. Okay. Shut up. Okay. The other name. What was the other name? Victoria. Connected. Wanted.
Which is not connected to Baby.
A robot. Where the woman is a robot, and you see the same thing in Help Wanted.
But that has nothing to do with Baby.
Yes, it does.
Oh,
Fight!
Ozone, the stretches are too much for a yoga class.
I never said it. Okay. I never said it was valid.
You never said it was a good theory. It was just a theory.
A game theory.
Theory, a bad theory.
A bad theory.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like
But
and
I have
subscribe on the podcast.
credibility.
I'm as a person or just this theory? Because I would agree with one of those.
And it's not the fact that you yourself are credible.
Incredible.
Incredible.
Oh boy.
That's what
We'll
your
make a
theory.
movie.
Your theory about the names being connected to Elizabeth is just so incredible, Ozone.
But why did they
So
call them after
very,
Queen?
very much incredible.
They
Anyway,
could have called them after kings.
what?
They're aren't the Bobbiedots female?
William.
Henry, no,
Wait, Henry and William.
well, if they did that, you would have gone even more off the deep end.
I didn't even realize I did that. I was just saying kings' names. That's the only two king names I know.
Exactly. Is there a King Michael too?
King Michael of Papa John's Pizza.
King Henry VIII.
Oh my gosh. So Bobbiedots' conclusion was it sure was a conclusion.
Yeah,
how do we feel about this being the first two-parter?
Good.
Well, as a story, solid. As a two-parter, I mean, I'm probably in the minority of this opinion, but I feel like I don't know. Part 1 felt very much too much like setup. I feel like a good two-parter has like at least some of a self-contained plot in the first half and some of a self-contained plot in the second half that ties it all together. Whereas I felt like Bobbiedots was like very much one story cut in half, and so because of that, I think the first part suffered a bit. But I'm still. I mean, I guess we'll. I think B7 is a good example.
That was gonna be my next. That was gonna be my next.
Because B7 didn't need a sequel. It wasn't explicitly a two-parter.
But it's
Now that it is one, I feel like it'll function a lot better because of that. Because it was self-contained story.
Part 1 should have been like concluded in some way before.
I feel like they're probably. Here's what I think should have happened. I think if I were writing the Bobbiedots, I would have had the Landon plotline be like the cliffhanger of part 1, where he finds out that Landon was killed and that he was paranoid of something, and it was probably the Bobbiedots. Then part 2 would be about meeting Sasha and like what do we do with this information, rather than like revealing everything in the second half.
That's good. That's good. I will say. I just think that there's definitely two ways you can write a two-parter, and I feel like this still suited it quite well. I feel like it was.
It's all right. It's an all right way of handling it.
It wasn't necessarily a cliffhanger, but it was like left at a good spot, and it still left you with a lot of questions and like kind of predicting what would happen next.
Yeah.
I quite liked it.
I want to preface, I do not believe this, but just imagine if B72 isn't a sequel story.
Just,
It's just a robot inspired.
That would just be so funny to me.
Someone, it's in universe. The books are canon. Someone reads the story B7 and goes, "I want to be B7 too." Title drop.
I
Roll credits.
cannot wait till we get till we get B7's back cover.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that'll be fun.
It should be coming up pretty soon. Like they always seem to have like at least like 2 or 3 ahead, and we're.
I feel like
when does
it's gonna be like.
Sorry. I was just gonna ask what's the release schedule for the next few books?
Let me pull it up right now. Tales from the Pizza Plaza.
Because obviously Nexty is like tomorrow, as of recording this.
Okay.
So I reckon B7-2 will be like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
What?
Where it's like
okay.
wait.
So
I'm listening. What?
Shut up. Wait. So I feel like it's gonna be like So B7 obviously set up B7 Billy, and B7 2 is gonna be both Billy and Malila defeating the forces of evil.
What?
They're both gonna be superheroes,
Okay,
and
so
they're both gonna shrink.
Since
Okay,
when is
shut up,
turning
Ozone.
yourself
They're
into
both
a
gonna
robot and
quantum
getting crushed in a car like this, like compactor, turn you into a superhero? Actually, don't answer that. That checks out.
okay,
That feels like way
It
more.
doesn't turn you into a villain,
so
or does it?
Or does it? B7 2, B7 Strikes Back.
do you guys wanna hear the next release dates?
Sure.
All right, so we got Nexi on May 2nd, and then 2 months later we got Tiger Rock on July 4th, 4th of July.
4th of July. Get ready to Tiger Rock.
America.
And
I
then
don't know
3
your
months
breaking
later
up thing.
we will get B7 2. And then
You say 3 months later?
yes, in October.
So like October is
Third.
B7 2? Gotcha.
October 3rd. And that's just like a couple weeks before the movie. And then apparently Tales from Plex 9 will come out in January of 2024.
Interesting. If it exists.
It probably does.
Yeah.
Wait, when in 2024? When in 2024?
January.
So do we want to move on to the epilogue now?
Sure. I mean, there's not that much to talk about.
Well, I mean, a pretty major character died, I'm pretty
Actually,
sure, right?
yeah, I will say I was surprised at that. Like, I thought he was gonna survive. So, it picks up with our 4 remaining characters of Jace.
Are there really only 4 left?
Only
Wow.
4 left. Well, it
Yeah.
was like I believe it's Jace, Julian, Lucina, and Kelly, and
Lucy?
Lucia. Either way,
There's no end.
Anyway, they're looking at the radio and they hear a voice on it that says like behind the stage in the old Pizzaplex, and so they go there, and it's the Mimic. The Mimic, like, almost got them, but they escaped. And they were like, okay, we need to find a way to escape because this thing is getting smarter, or it's already been pretty smart. So,
It's not getting smarter. We're getting dumber.
it is Julian and Jace, right? No, it's Adrian.
Adrian.
Adrian
I
and
was gonna
Jace.
say, who the hell is Julian?
I don't know. I don't know why I thought that. Anyway, Adrian and Jace, they go off to try to find an exit while Kelly and Lucia are like, we're gonna try to look at this radio more. And they get to the fan room and they find
They find the boys.
yeah, they find Joel and
They're just hanging out.
Joel and whatever his name.
Wade, I think.
Joel and Wade,
Wade,
yep,
yeah.
they found their dead bodies, and they're like, okay, we see the fan. So Adrian's like, okay, listen, we're gonna get like a metal foot, and we're gonna stick it up there, and then you're gonna escape, and get us help. And Jace's like, okay. So they go get a leg, and then there's the Mimic. So like, crap, they do like a little runaway scene, and then they get in the room. And there's no time for Jace to get up there, so Jace hides and Julian climbs up. The Mimic's there, and he sticks the leg in. And
You said Julian again, I think.
Did I say? I'm getting the names mixed. It's
Adrian.
Who is Julian? I don't know. They're just kind of
King Julian from Madagascar.
Anyways, Adrian sticks the leg up in the fan. It doesn't stop it because the fan's just really powerful, and it bonks him on the head. He loses his grip and falls right into the loving arms of the Mimic. And,
Yes, and
Jace
I
gets
found
to
that
listen.
really funny.
And,
hears him very much die.
yeah, die. So Adrian's dead, which I did not expect.
Yeah, he was a kind of a main fella.
Yeah. So there's only 3 left.
That is wild.
Do we think one person's gonna survive?
What?
I think it could be this group of 3. Never mind. I kind of went through my train of thought and went. It could be the 3 of them. It could be 2 of them, or it could be 1 of them.
Or it could be none of them.
Nah,
Okay.
someone's got to get
So
out to tell the
I
tale.
really feel like now, like, I don't know who's like. I felt like that
Right,
when we got to 4. I thought that was gonna be it for at least a
I feel like-
while.
I guess the point of my very redundant sentence is I feel like anyone could make it out of this, or anyone could like die.
So here's
Like
what I think.
I feel like someone is going to sacrifice themselves in order for someone else to get out, whether it's 2 of them or 1 of them.
Here's what I think. Okay, I think that here's my prediction for the next epilogue, or I guess maybe the 7th epilogue, because
Adrian survived.
you read the
gets
6th
up and bonks the epilogue. Wait, what?
I mean,
Bonks the mimic.
Ozone isn't like, you know, a big like. I'm gonna hint at spoilers, but my first thought was, okay, I think Jace is dead. I think he might be like the one that like sacrificed himself.
Maybe it would make sense for Lucia
I-
and Kelly, or that's her name, right?
Yeah,
To escape.
Kelly, yeah. I feel like one of them is gonna escape, and then we might have like a time skip to like later where like they've escaped and they have to like deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have to like go back for some reason.
I love the idea of them having to just deal with it when they get out.
Mhm.
Like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Because there's only 2. There's like I feel like there's only like really like 2 ways this could go. Because they can't just keep running around the pizza the pizza place
Well,
for
they-
6 more episodes.
They
Epilogue.
could.
Well, they could, but that wouldn't be
That's
very.
kind of what they have been doing.
Well, I think either one of them's gonna get, some of them are gonna get out, or they're gonna go deeper.
Ooh, interesting.
And like, I feel like that like that's gonna be one of the 2, because
Yeah,
I like
they can't keep dying. That's the
yeah
thing.
exactly like, there's only 3 left.
We're running out.
I have a feeling.
We're running out of fodder. Bring more children.
I think the blob is gonna have to get involved here.
Really? I mean,
Because
I
don't have
suppose.
we don't have the kind of name for the blob, but we have the kind of name for the burn trap now.
So, gotcha. Okay.
And-
Interesting.
And maybe like the blob will like take all of their friends, and then they'll see their friends as part of the blob, and then that would be very scary.
Ooh.
Possibly.
Imagine like all the voices or all the heads in the blob like open their mouths and it's like their friends' voices.
Ooh, that'd be neat. One thing I want to bring
Oh.
up that's unlikely but still has like interesting vibes. Kelly has always acted kind of strangely, right?
I don't.
What are the odds that she's a twist villain?
She's a mimic.
I don't think so. Like we've all like I feel like people have always said Kelly's sus, and it's only because like she's introduced as like this shy, quiet character, but like she's the one that's like, oh, we should go explore the Pizzaplex. But it's said that she likes like the kind of mystery and stuff, so she'd be the one who'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
like, and I don't really feel like she's done anything sus. Like, yeah, she's quiet. But
It's just
she's
like
always
how
been-
she's like reacted to things, I think.
I guess, but like it, I don't know. Like we only see from like. Okay, I feel like it's kind of like at a point where like if we see someone's like point of view that's not like. What's her name? I already forgot. Like, what's the main girl's name?
Lucia?
Lucia. I feel like if it's not Lucia's perspective, someone's gonna die. Like we had like Hope and Adrian,
True.
and then like Hope died, or was it Hope and Adrian? It was Hope.
Adrian's the most recent one
Right?
that
Yeah.
died.
Who was the guy that died first? The fact that I can't remember probably proves the point.
I literally don't care. Like,
Yeah, the one that got killed by the mimic in the when they
The
were,
guy who
Yeah.
went, my arms are
Hope
gone. Oops, dies.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, maybe.
no, I don't. Again, I don't really care because like
Yeah.
I don't really care about the characters, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that like I think that as like an epilogue, it's all right. I feel like this would have been like I would have loved this as like an Until Dawn style game, like of these characters in the
That would be neat. Yeah.
that would
Please,
that
give it
would
to
have
us.
like if Scott, if you ever want to branch out to new genres,
It's the perfect opportunity.
it really
for this.
is.
FNaF, I feel like in the books and everything that goes on in them, I feel like would be the perfect opportunity for like a game in that genre where you have to like make these choices and escape these things. Like that's a very FNaF feeling concept.
Yeah.
This is the Until Dawn vibe. Like,
Yes.
it can't get any more like
Until Dawny than this.
Yeah, no, genuinely.
And like those games are pretty popular. I mean, there was like what, The Quarry last year. I remember?
Yep, The Quarry was
Yeah.
a funny game.
That was terrible.
I never played it or even like watched it fully.
I've watched playthroughs of it, and it's such a funny experience.
It's just weird.
It's very weird.
Anyway, about Kelly, I can't really say too much about her because I know something else about her now. But I feel like, I don't know, I think different people like take things differently, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Some people see terrible things and they're like just completely desensitized to everything, and then other people like scream and shout. And
That's
And
like,
let it all out.
yeah, that's probably what's going on with Kelly. It's probably gonna get revealed that she's like, my uncle was dead in Missing
she's like an orphan
Child.
or something.
Or maybe like she's related to one of the people that died at the beginning.
Ooh, maybe. That would be interesting. She'd be like, I guess I found out what happened to Uncle Tom.
Or like, or maybe like, remember there was one guy that got away?
Oh yeah.
Maybe like related to him,
Possibly.
and like like she.
But then
wanted
why
to
would
find
she
out-
choose to go down here?
why what
Peer pressure, bandwagon.
or like what traumatized my dad or whatever.
Hmm.
Well, I'm
She's
sure she
also-
would. Well, I don't know.
Wasn't
We
she
don't know
also
if Dad would tell.
very shy.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like she would kind of take things differently, emotionally. I
Mhm.
don't know.
She's just a gamer. She's played too many violent video games. Played too many FNaF games.
She's watched too much true crime
No,
YouTube
she
videos.
just plays too much.
Maybe
Five
she actually did play FNaF.
Yeah, and then she's just like, murder
Boy,
robots.
the fact that is a real possibility.
What if she's possessed by Glitchtrap?
What if she is Scott Cawthon?
Steve Snodgrass 2.
Steve
Electric
Snodgrass.
Boogaloo. Hopefully this one doesn't.
That's who's teaming up with B7 and B7 too. It's
She
Steve
is the real
Snodgrass.
Isabella.
Oh my gosh! Just imagine if like, like, a bunch of the characters from these stories like came in the epilogues like, it's Billy, it's Steve Snodgrass.
It's like Avengers Endgame.
Endgame, yeah.
Steve
And that's why
Snodgrass
Ant-Man
steps out of the
Quantumania.
Steve Snodgrass steps out of like a portal and goes, "I've called you all here for a very specific reason." Like, we're going to make 5 nights at Freddy's, and we're gonna stay for 5 nights.
A maze with no exit. No, damn it, that's not the line.
You failed it. Point and
A
laugh.
with no exit. A maze with no prize.
Steve Snodgrass.
Part 2. Help
3.
wanted 2.
Help wanted
But
too.
what about
Even more help
Snodgrass.
wanted.
Stone.
Oh, Steve Snodstone.
What's next? Steve
Steve
Snod
Snod
Iron.
Cobblestone.
Still waiting for Steve Snodderite.
Steve Snod Diamond.
Bedgrass. Bedgrass? No, Bedrock.
Bedrock.
Yeah.
Steve Snodgrass Bedrock Edition. What are we doing? We're
Steve
descending in...
Snodgrass made Minecraft?
Yes! You know what they
Okay.
call the golden apples, right? They call them snod
Freddy's?
apples.
Snod.
Snod apples.
What are we doing?
We're
Wait, Steve.
recording the Dark Rooms podcast. Check out
True.
the podcast and subscribe or whatever.
Do we want to touch on MatPat's recent activities?
I mean, sure.
Recent activities.
We're near the end of the
He's
episode,
like he's
so
let off a
if-
nuclear bomb.
if it's like I will say we are at about 58 minutes. So if we want to talk about it real quick, we can.
Yeah, I think it's a good like side note thing because I don't know if I'm in the minority here. I think that MatPat has been doing some cool things lately, and that people judge him way too harshly. I didn't watch his timeline. I've only heard about it. I've heard that it's like kind of bad, but I appreciate that on GT Live specifically, he did he watched other people's theories, and then there was the whole like live stream with the theory talk back or whatever he called it, where a lot of theorists got to like voice their opinions on things, and I think it was really cool. I stayed for like most of the stream. I took a break to get dinner like partway through. I don't know why I'm mentioning that. It's kind of an unimportant
What'd you
detail.
eat for dinner?
That I don't remember.
Oh, that's lame. Boo!
I know.
Unsubscribe!
I should have kept my mouth shut. Oh
So
no.
I don't usually watch through like all of the theory talkbacks, like all the way through them. But this one I did, because of ID, Rytoast, and Hyperdroid. Like
Right,
I've spoken
ID.
to them before, and I freaking love all the input they put in. Like they
Yes,
really
they did-
showed up the
they did
ground
awesome.
there. Like I feel like for the past like year or something, it's been like MatPat and FNaF and
Dog-
We're getting the new
like his
people
team
rising
and
up.
Dorko,
Yeah.
and I feel like they've kind of like they're getting old.
Wow.
You know,
Careful
I-
about your word choice.
I think
you don't
they're
want.
smart. They're very smart people, and they have very good ideas. But I feel like
It's like a new
these guys are
generation of
showing them up.
theorists.
Yeah, it's genuinely a new generation. It's an industrial revolution.
Interesting.
I wish like we could get like MatPat on here and then I could just like ask him like, have you heard of this theory? Have you heard of this theory? Have you heard of this? Like just like all the crazy theories.
It would be
we've
awesome
talked about over the
to-
year.
Yeah. It would be awesome to have MatPat on here, but
Have you heard of BV Fifth?
Well,
Oh.
well, the three people I mentioned, we can get on it.
That's true. We should
Yeah.
talk to people about that.
Yeah, yeah.
That could be a fun new like mini arc of the podcast
Just
because it's
talking
been a
to
while since we've
theorists.
been kind of like rambling aimlessly for the past like 5 to 10
yeah.
episodes. I think.
I think
I
when we
think-
talk about the Mimic in like 2-3 weeks, I think we should get someone on for that because there's a lot of theorizing to do.
Yeah,
Cool.
that sounds awesome.
Who would you recommend?
Well, let's
ID,
keep that a
probably.
surprise. Okay, well,
Ooh.
never
Okay.
mind. Anyway, my whole point in bringing this up is that I see a lot of MatPat hate, and they say they call him out for a lot of stuff that I don't think he does. If you like look into it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he was very welcoming of criticism and different ideas.
I mean, yeah. Have you
I
seen
don't
like?
want to specifically throw anyone under the bus, but watching the live stream, I noticed some tendencies from like other parts of the theorist team that I think might be more of the source of people's issues with the timelines. I won't point any fingers or name any names though.
British.
I won't. No, I didn't say anything.
Like I've
I
always
think-
been of the mindset like yeah these theories don't really make sense but it's not just one guy making them like it's a team.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And I think if you've only watched MatPat's like very scripted FNaF like theory videos that you think have some crazy stuff in there, I encourage you to check out the GT Live content because you get to see a side of it that is very different and very nice, relaxing, casual, and feels a lot more like FNaF theorizing rather than getting up on a platform and saying a bunch of crazy ideas that a bunch of kids
I
are going to
prefer it.
believe.
I
it's-
really like the GT Live stuff.
It's great. Anyway, that's enough plugging for a channel that we have no affiliation with.
Speaking of plugging channels we are affiliated with, I think that's probably gonna wrap it up. So
Subscribe to me.
Yeah, as always,
Yeah, okay.
as always, Inky knows are in the description. Hey, why not subscribe here? I know, there's still some Minecraft content which isn't as popular, but it's almost over.
If you like Minecraft, there's Minecraft
Yeah, if
sometimes,
you like
but
it.
that's
Yeah,
very
that's more of like
disconnected from
yeah.
everything here.
That's more of like a fun
Bedrock.
side thing because Darkroom's
Yeah.
like my main thing. But
Yeah.
if you like talking FNaF, subscribe and leave us a comment. I read every single comment. So
And we are happy to be back. Hopefully things will pick up again. We'll see where it goes from here. We're definitely at least going to round out season 3. From there, we'll probably decide what we do because we could try and continue with another season, or we could try and shift things around possibly.
or both.
For
a new show. We could do
a new show. Like anyway, the point is, we're back. This is hasn't seen The Last of Us. Wait, like the show.
I have not seen The Last of Us. All right.
We all thought it.
Yeah. So
We all thought it. Even I did after saying it. Anyway, we're back. We're having fun. Hope you have fun. Hope you stick around. Thanks.
this is why I
We should do a skit where we're Bobbiedots.
This is
We're
what-
rusty.
This is why I do the outros.
This is what. Well, yeah.
Thank you
Take it
so
away.
much for watching this video, everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace.
In memory of underscore.